Welcome. Today I will be paraphrasing, summarizing, and sharing for the April 2nd Al-Anon readings, Encouraged to Change, and a little time for myself. We'll begin with the Serenity Prayer and 3 mindful breaths. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. I'll take a minute to look this over. The question is, how does detachment help me choose my responses today? And the person who wrote this passage describes waking up in the middle of the night and hearing ice being dropped into a glass and having their heart race and the discomfort of that. And the person says that detaching with love is very valuable at that time. They can say the Serenity Prayer, read conference-approved literature. They can go back to sleep and call their sponsor in the morning. That takes a lot of guts. Today's reminder, no matter how long we've been in Al-Anon, sometimes it feels like we're right back at square one in certain situations. But detaching with love really helps. And the quote is from Detachment. We lead happier and more manageable lives when we let go of our obsession with another's behavior. So how does detachment help me choose my response today? Before I answer that, I just want to say that I had like a really strong physical reaction when I read that, because I guess maybe I've had a similar experience that I can't quite put my finger on at the moment, but it's almost like something happens and it's scary and I'm not sure what to do, especially if it's in the middle of the night or if it catches me off guard. And it's like, I think this person is really amazing that they kept their control and they went back to sleep after they said the Serenity Prayer and read some literature. I mean, I just feel like that's really amazing. And then they followed up by calling their sponsor. So detachment helps me, and I've said this before, but it's got to be with love, just like this person said in the passage. And I think the biggest factor for me is if it's something that I can control or not. And there's a very good chance that it is not something I can control, because there's actually very little that I can control, unless it has to do with myself directly. So detachment, the whole idea of detachment, which I learned in Al-Anon, detaching with love, frees me to remember that I'm not responsible for someone else's behavior. And that frees me to just accept and love that person as they are. That doesn't mean I don't set boundaries. I definitely set boundaries. But that detachment with love piece, that's the really hopeful part, because that clink in the glass doesn't have to be as scary as maybe it would if I didn't realize that it had nothing to do with me, and it's none of my business. And of course, as I say this, I'm thinking of different situations where it could be dangerous, and the person waking up and hearing the ice clink in the glass could be scared for their safety. But that's not what this says. And of course, that would be different, because safety is the first priority always. But if it's just a matter of, here we go again, what a pain, um, then I guess it's more likely to be a situation where I could say, um, I'm going to say the Serenity Prayer. I'm going to read some conference-approved literature. I'm going to call my sponsor in the morning. I'm going to try to get back to sleep. I'm just really glad I'm not living this right now. Really, really glad I'm not living this right now, because, like I said, just reading that, it's like it took me back. That happens in meetings too. Sometimes people share and it brings me right back. And I guess that's what makes it such an authentic, intimate fellowship, is that we understand each other. We've had similar experiences. Many of us have had very similar experiences. And when we're able to put ourselves in other people's shoes, it it brings about a lot of love and compassion. And that is always a very, very good thing. I am going to take a moment and look over this passage. Beautiful. This passage is about being gentle with ourselves, and the slogan, easy does it. This person is describing how they have a tendency to push themselves, and they tend to think that if they don't push themselves, then nothing would get done. But when they did their fourth step inventory, it actually showed the opposite, that they're very self-directed and that they get things done on their own without having to be pushed. So they adopted the slogan, easy does it. So now when they're having trouble during the day, they try to slow down. They don't automatically assume they're wrong. They just have a different attitude. Today's reminder, easy does it, reminds us that we can slow down and we can lighten up. We can try to have an accepting attitude of ourselves and enjoy our day, regardless of what we get done. And the quote is from, this is Al-Anon. We improve our attitudes and our state of mind, but it takes time. We need to have patience. And now, reading this makes me think of my current life, which is pretty relaxed, has a pretty slow pace most of the time, and that works for me very well. But I am remembering many, many years before where there was so much to get done in a day. And even looking back, I don't know that I could have let one thing go. Everything I did, I had to do or it wouldn't get done. And I was a mother of a young child, divorced. Depending on the time of my life, I was working more than one job. At one point, I was working 3 jobs and taking care of my son. And then when I finally got one job that could pay all the bills, that job took so much of my time and energy to do well. Like it didn't technically take the same amount of time as my 3 jobs, but it took, it was much better than having the 3 jobs, but it did take a ton of energy and devotion, attention. So I I think easy does it is a really, really great slogan. I think that if it can be incorporated into our lives, it's very, very helpful. But I'm also aware that sometimes like I'm saying, there are times in my life where the only thing I could have done as far as easy does it has been more gentle on myself. Just kind of giving myself a pat on the back more. Maybe that's what I could have done. But I don't think I could have not done anything that I needed to do because that's just where I was in my life. So I guess that's a situation of take what you like and leave the rest, or just do what you can little by slow, one day at a time, that sort of thing. Just makes me, I'm always, I'm ridiculously grateful for my life, but reading passages like that and remembering just makes me like, uh, just like melt into a puddle of gratitude that it all worked out. We'll close out with the serenity prayer and 3 mindful breaths. Here we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Sending you love. Take care.